So I know that we've kind of gotten away from Google Classroom a lot. And the reason why is because Seesaw is a great app that is fairly new. It's been around at least since I've known since last year. My son uses it and I just absolutely love it. If you have multiple children, instead of seeing and going into each student's account, you can have a parent account and see all of their stuff for all of your children, which is really awesome. So if you'd like to sign up for the parent account, just let me know so I can send that information to you. But right now, just for the time being, to kind of get us started, I'm going to show you where your children are going to go to get into Seesaw and to access all the activities, because we're going to be transitioning into doing just Seesaw. So this is their North Penn desktop. This is where your students can go in and they can access their Gmail, which is their Google Mail. They shouldn't really be getting too much. They might have gotten an invitation from me for a Google Hangout from last week. But other than that, they might be getting Mr. Muller's principal updates and other things that are just user-friendly. But you can go in and clean that out. This is where they've also accessed their Google Classroom. So if you scroll down, in mine, I have a lot more icons than your students do. So I have to kind of scroll down a lot. But here's Seesaw. And this is what it looks like. And I just click it. Now, obviously, opening up, it's going to be a different view because I'm viewing it as a student. I'm viewing it as a teacher rather than a student. So it's going to open this up for me. As you can see, I already have some posts that I have to approve. But what would happen is you're only going to have 3 tabs. You're going to have your student's journal, their activities, and their inbox. In the inbox is where your students will see my messages, and this is where you'll see all the lesson activities. I suggest every time that you see my lesson activities there for the day to click on View Google Doc. In doing that, it's going to open up the Google Slides just like you would in Classroom, and it gives you the ability to be able to click the links. So sorry, it's taking it a little bit longer. So if I were to go to today's, you can then have the access to be able to click the links wherever you're at. So going back into Seesaw, you'll see notifications. That's if at any point in time I'm sending you something back because your student, I want them to look at something again, or you can see that their activity has moved out of their activities column and into their journal. And in their journal, that means it will stay there and be there for forever. So going back into activities, this is where your students will see the different things that they can do. So I can go in and click Add Response, and I'm going to be a sample student. And here is where your students will be able to have the ability to use the microphone, to record themselves talking. Sometimes I'll ask for a certain activity where I'll ask them to tell me back the story through like a retell or something, and they can use that microphone. Or if they want to share something, they can use the microphone. Or if they want to, instead of typing, especially on these long math problems, like if I go to page 2 here, down here, explaining themselves, they can record themselves. I had students doing that today on the math homework. That's a great idea. So something easy, and it's a lot easier to have the students explain their thinking rather than type their thinking. So that's a great tool that you can use. Here is the labeling tool, or the tool where they can type and they can write. They can add photos and they can add videos. And then down here are all the tools in writing. So they can use highlighter, a special marker, another crayon marker, a pencil, the hand to move things around, and then this, of course, is the eraser. I'm still getting familiar with it. They'll never really use this, but just to kind of go over it, this changes the background, and this changes and adds shapes. But so far, they won't really need that too much. When they finish, they're going to go up here and click the green check mark. If you want them to save it without submitting it to me first because you want to double check it, have them check it off as a draft. Then you can go back, review it, and then they can go back and submit it and finish their response. So that's one way they can do this. I am going to just click the green button because I'm done. And then what will happen is every time I post something in our Google Slides, you'll notice here I will put the symbol for Seesaw next to the words or next to the activity. The words are the same words that you will find in the Seesaw app. So I'm just going to copy the words that are in the activity lesson in Seesaw and copying them right here in the Google Slide. So when you go into Seesaw, you're going to be looking for being a friend. So in here, I'll go in here. Today's activity was being a friend. And I don't think I have to go to my activities. See, I did not submit that as a part of my journal, but here was the activity, being a friend. A lot of times they're going to have a link or a PDF or a file over here that they can click. They can listen to it. They can watch the video. And then this is the instructions of what they're supposed to do next. I hope that this becomes easier for you and for your students. I think it's definitely very much more self-motivating for the kids. It's easier to use. If you have the Chromebook, you can fold the top of the Chromebook, the screen part, all the way back so it's touching the keyboard part of it, and they can use it with their fingers because it is a touch screen instead of using it like an actual computer or a laptop. So that way, that even becomes easier because it turns into a tablet for them. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, I think this is pretty easy, and especially if the students have their Chromebooks. So much more friendlier than Google Classroom for the younger kids. Alrighty, good luck with Seesaw.